Roots of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E.
Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Root of the Science podcast with your girl, Anne with an E. My guest today is Dr. Brighton Samatanga, a molecular biophysicist based in Germany. He describes his career trajectory as unorthodox and driven by the next opportunity that made him happy. Now, for those of you who are wondering, what exactly is a molecular biophysicist? Brighton describes his area of expertise simply as a physicist working on a biological area and quantifying it. He's a believer that infrastructure development will spearhead the economic development of Africa. As a result, he is a founder and the CEO of the Biotech Institute, Zimbabwe. In this episode, we learn more about Brighton's journey into the world of science, his area of expertise as a molecular biophysicist, and the reasons he's so passionate about the Institute in creating innovative, globally competitive science, and so much more. Do stay tuned. Hi, Brighton, and welcome to the show.
Thank you for inviting me. How are you doing?
I'm great. I'm so excited to have you and for us to just hear about everything that you're doing.
Oh, I'm glad to be here. Thanks a lot.
Okay, so with that being said, can you just tell us a bit about yourself, where you're from, where you're based now, and what you do?
So I'm a Zimbabwean. So basically, I'm from Zimbabwe, and I came, I think, quite a long time ago, like around 2004, 2005. That's when I came to Germany to do my bachelor's. Mm-hmm. And then I did my science education, bachelor's, master's, PhD, and now I'm just here in Leipzig in Germany, where I'm doing my research in molecular biophysics.
Okay, fantastic. So before we get into the science and everything that you do, I'd just like to just ask a question to all of my guests to just find out a bit more about yourself. So you said you're from Zimbabwe, but you're now currently in Germany.
Yes.
But I just want to find out from you, what is your favorite place in the world? It can be in Zimbabwe, it can be in Germany, or anywhere else where you might have traveled, and why? Why is that your favorite?
So I hope I don't sound like a cliche of some sort, but I think for me to answer that question, I have to really come back to kind of this saying, which simply says, "There's no place like home." So I basically grew up in Chishawasha, which is quite a very special rural area in Zimbabwe. So it's too close to the city. You're like 25 minutes out. And it's like a very beautiful place. It's very peaceful. You have nature all around you. And so you don't have that whole crazy hustle and bustle of the city. But you're still very much in close proximity of the city. So actually next to us is even kind of the wealthiest or richest kind of neighborhood in Zimbabwe. So it's a really kind of peaceful place. So every time I go back home from Germany, I'm really like to take time out and just enjoy it. So I think it's really the best place for me to be.
Well, yeah, like you said, there is no place like home. And I think sometimes when you've lived out of the country, your original birthplace, coming back has always got that special feeling like, yes, this is where I am.
No, I think in this case, I have to admit, I think even my wife, she's Swiss, she loves that place. I think she always says, when I go to Zimbabwe, when is the next time are we going to Chishawasha? We should build a house over there. And I'm like, okay, we're gonna do it slowly. We're gonna get there.
Oh man, that's great to know. So in your introduction, you briefly explained your educational background, but then now I just want you to just take me on a journey. How did you actually end up studying in Germany to where you went on to do all your different degrees, and also just some of the influences that actually led you into the science career, like the actual roots of your science?
Yeah, so I think one thing you realize is let's say my career trajectory has been unorthodox. So there are different type of kids. There are some who grow up with the dream, like I want to be like this. This is my future, right? I want to be a doctor. I want to be a pilot or whatever. Yeah, which I respect when people as kids already know what they want to do. That wasn't me. I just knew what I was good at. All right. So I was basically following what I was good at as long as it made me happy. So this was really the sciences like mathematics, physics and so forth. I was also good in the arts as well. But I think because of the framework in which I grew up, which is Zimbabwe, right, in Harare, it's like you might be good in everything, but you end up more or less in the sciences because you have to consider what will give you, what you said, a stable career afterwards where you can earn some money. So basically, you end up a medical doctor, basically. So I was like, okay, fine. I did my maths, physics, chemistry, and biology at the advanced levels. And then I applied for medical school, got in. But during my last year, during some connection with the U.S. Embassy, there's some program which is called the USAP. So this is United States Student Achievers Program. So it basically helps to take talented students and help them get scholarships so that they can study in the U.S. So they go around the country, look for what they consider the brightest students. I put that in quotes, right? It can be subjective. And I was part of those. And then I was supposed to go to the U.S. And then, of course, politics and other things. I ended up having to apply to go to Germany, of which I liked Germany because I was not so much into liberal arts, which was, you have to consider, I was like grew up in a science system. And then I was like, okay, Germany, this is the way to go. I didn't know much about Germany. I think it was just suggested to me by my advisor from the U.S. Embassy. I applied, I got in, and I chose the subject which I chose to study was biochemical engineering. Well, I didn't know what it was. I just liked the name. I thought it sounded cool. And so I picked it up. And I was actually a double major until the last year where I dropped mathematics. So I was biochemical engineering and mathematics. So I dropped mathematics. And then I just graduated with biochemical engineering, decided to stay. And so this was in Jacobs University in Bremen in Germany. And then decided to do the master's at the same place, because they were offering this kind of accelerated program where you can do your master's in 1 year instead of 2 years. So because I was like the Zimbabwean outside, and I still had to send some money home. So I wanted to be quickly do with all these masters where you don't get so much money and get to the PhD where you can earn a little bit more cash. So exactly the funding issue, right? But I got a full scholarship for my master's for 2 years, but I still finished it in 1 year. And then I got to Switzerland, and then I went to Switzerland. I did my PhD in molecular biophysics, but more going into the thermodynamics. So basically, I was trying to just understand how molecules interact and stuff like that. And then after that, I came back to Germany in Münster. Then I did my first postdoc in some crazy kind of up-and-coming technology. Then I left. Then I did my second postdoc in Leipzig in Germany. And yeah, so basically this is kind of like, I would say in a nutshell, without taking too much time, my trajectory. And I think the whole thing was simply driven by doing the next thing that kept me happy. And I've changed fields slightly, quite a lot, but it's been fun.
No, I love how you said that it was driven by the next thing that makes you happy. I think there's many of us who do things because we have to and not because we want to, and we end up being not so happy in those decisions of us studying. Exactly. And like you said, it is very unorthodox. You went from being in medical school to biochemical engineering to molecular.
No, I have to explain one thing. I was biochemical engineering, and then I went into more biophysics, and then my first postdoc was in physical chemistry. Wow. And now I'm in the Institute for Soft Matter Physics. So I'm really in physics, and I even have to teach classes in physics, right? So it's completely from one field to the next, to the very other end, right?
Wow. No, that's very interesting. I think it really shows that you're very adaptable, if I can say that. You can adapt in all these different fields, which is very commendable. But like you said, that you are known as a molecular biophysicist, right?
Yes, indeed.
So can you just explain to everybody in simple terms what exactly that is and what your area of expertise is actually based on?
So that's a let's see, biophysics. Maybe let me try this. So biophysics is simply whereby we take biology and then we try to look at it quantitatively. So you just take a physicist and you say, work on a biological area. He will try to use his own kind of mentality of, okay, we're basically quantifying. If anything is happening, we want to know how fast, why is it happening, where is the energy coming from, where did it get changed into, how much energy was it? So it's like, many people can say, oh, the COVID virus got into your cell or it binds to this drug, but we want to know the numbers exactly. Why does it happen? Why doesn't it happen otherwise? And we really want to get all the tiny little details so that you can really understand the whole concept, right? And I've worked, I think, in many kind of different areas. One of it was kind of splicing, whereby, your genetic information always gets changed into something that was, and this is usually you have the DNA, which is somewhere in the cell, and this holds your kind of genetic information. The message gets taken out by some other molecule, and this gets changed to this information. And this is kind of what I was trying to look at, how the information gets changed. How can you really understand it or modulate it? But now I'm working on a completely interesting. So it's called CRISPR-Cas, and this is kind of a revolutionary technology that everybody's crazy about. I think there's a guy in China. I've heard of it. Yes, there's a guy in China who made the twins, right? These are the ethical side. It has a lot of ethical implications, right? Yeah. So we are, as molecular biophysicists, we are simply trying to understand. So maybe to those who don't know, CRISPR-Cas is kind of this methodology which you can be called molecular scissors. So if you have a disease happening somewhere in your DNA, it can be cut out and you can have the whole cell or a body correct that, right? But the problem that is happening right now, it's not accurate. So you can ask it to cut at that point, but it cuts somewhere else. So we're trying to understand it at the molecular level. How exactly does it go and cut a specific place, and how we can change it to make it even more accurate, such that you have very few side effects. That if you want to, cure some disease of the leg, you don't cause something permanent damage to the brain. So this is what we're trying to do. Yeah.
Oh wow, that's very interesting science. And like you said, I've heard about this, and I was actually watching it on. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Explained on Netflix. They were talking about it. Yeah, so it also had its own little moral issues as well. But like you said, but that's a conversation for another day. Yeah.
No, but just as a one statement, I think the ethical implications are real and have to be appreciated.
Definitely. And
but we're not making anything though. We're just trying to understand it. So we don't even create anything. We only go as far as molecules, not even more than one cell, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so just to put a disclaimer.
Just put a disclaimer so that people think I'm making some little babies or doing some mice studies. I don't even go that far.
You're not there, yeah. No, like you said, you're just trying to find the accuracy in things. That the faults basically. But anyway, you've explained to us about how you started your educational journey and everything that you're working on. But amongst other things in your journey, this is not the end. You're also the CEO and the founder of the Biotech Institute in Zimbabwe. So I want you to tell us about how that was founded and why did you choose to do it, especially because, in Zimbabwe, it's a question that a lot of people will be like, given the economic situation in Zimbabwe, some might actually think that it's not a good idea. So why did you want to do this, especially now?
So I think I registered the Biotech Institute last year, I think end of last year. Mm-hmm. And of course, it has been something that has been in my mind for the last 6 years, to start something of my own. There are really different reasons for it. And it's really, I really believe in infrastructure development as a way of really spearheading the economic development of Africa, right? Okay. And why Zimbabwe? Well, I'm Zimbabwean. I know the area best. And it's home, right? So I can really want to, if nobody does it or whatever the problems might be, the country will never move forward, right? Mm-hmm. And as far as I would like to think, I might be a little bit naive in some way. Science is not politics. So there is a difference between politics and scientific development. I would like to think, in my naive sense, that you can really do scientific development, research, and education without being affected by whatever may happen on the political side. And I think this is also key. Zimbabweans are very educated people. And people are educated, but there is a but. People are very educated up to tertiary education, so really like high school. But when it comes to university college level education, it's not up to par to the world standards. And this is something we want to change. And I have my own philosophy of how I think you want to make a university that can train people not to be job seekers, but to be job creators. So I think it's actually needed right now, because we want to give back some technology. I think maybe I will explain much more later. But it seems like it's I want to give back a lot to Zimbabwe and help in resuscitating it, and also bringing it back into the community of nations. And also, it's a place that I know, it's home. I have to play my part, basically, my own small little part.
No, that's very commendable. And I think sometimes, as Africans, we need to solve our own African problems. And I love how you've said that you want to create job creators and not job seekers. And I think that is, I might be wrong, but that is also the problem with our current university program, is that it creates people to go into the job market. It doesn't create us to create our own opportunities. So for you doing this, I commend you, and I hope, like you said, that you can spearhead the economic development of Zimbabwe. And with that, so tell us more. What is your aims and your vision for the Biotech Institute, and also you've touched on the importance, but just further elaborate. So the vision and the aims of has it already started? Those sorts of
so really, I would say, if I would say, because I think really the mission of the whole project that I'm trying to have here is like my passion project, is really to promote kind of good health and economic development in the sub-Saharan African region, right? Mm-hmm. Through, innovative technologies and infrastructure development, right? Okay. And focusing on 3 different areas: biomedicine, agriculture, and education, right? Oh, okay. So really, we are in Zimbabwe, but our focus is the Southern African and the Sub-Saharan African region, right? It's like I just have my pivot point, so to say. Right, and the vision is to we would like to really become like a really something innovative, globally competitive. I don't want to do something that is called Science for Africa. right? There's one science for the world. It's either you are in or you're out, right? And also it's and a socially responsible company. And what we have is as key technologies, of course, is genomics, molecular genomics, and machine learning, so artificial intelligence. And if I may explain, maybe the structure will give a people basically what is the idea.
Yes, please.
Yeah, the whole idea is we have 3 departments: molecular diagnostics, then that's one department; second department, research and education, and the third one is public health, right? So the idea it's a hybrid academic biotech institute, and the idea is to create a self-sustaining institution, because in Africa without money you cannot go forward. So the idea is with the molecular diagnostics part does all these things like testing for HIV, antimicrobial resistance, for tuberculosis, all this kind of testing using mainly next generation sequencing, Zika, COVID-19. We are also trying to be part of COVID-19, cancer screening, and all this kind of stuff. And we are trying to offer these things on a commercial level, so as a proper biotech company. Right? And then we can say, yes, we do malaria diagnostics, we do this, we can do non-invasive prenatal testing to test unborn babies, we can help with sepsis or just any bacterial or microbial infection, we can detect it, we can do those screens, we make money, we use that money to finance our research and education and public health programs. So we are really trying to have a mix between commercial activities and non-profit, because that's the only way. Because the question is, if you're in Zimbabwe, who's going to give you the money, right? And so you have to really be creative here and try to fund your own research by creating the own money you need. That's why.
Okay. So where in Zimbabwe is this institute based?
So this is, of course, so far we are starting. So we are in Harare. And we have a partnership that we have had so far with the National Institute of Health Research. So this is kind of the institution mandated to perform research in Zimbabwe. And we have some sort of alliance, and they will give us temporary space for that. And we have, 1 or 2 employees at the moment. And we are really right now trying, we have to have infrastructure brought in from outside, and we are really beginning to set up and also solidifying our partnerships.
Oh, okay. So I'm glad that you've mentioned your partners, because to realize this dream of yours, it's not an easy feat, and it's not something that you can do on your own. So apart from your partners in Zim, you mentioned where else are your partners from?
So I'd say I think most of the partners are the critical. Maybe I'd say the most critical partners, or if not for the institute, but within the institute, are like my board of directors. All right, and we have, I think, one guy, Dr. Taurai Tassara, who's a group leader in Switzerland.
Okay.
And that's why you see, because also the University of Zurich in Switzerland, through his group, is becoming a partner of the institute.
Oh, right? Wow.
So during when we set up our master's and PhD programs, our students will be having the opportunity to go and spend some internships or some thesis in his group in Switzerland. So we want to this is like one critical partner. And then I have another partner in Kenya, Dr. Ziomo, and then another partner who's also Dr. Cecilia Bartolucci. She's at the Italian National Research Council. I think she even represents Italy in the G7, so she actually helps map our strategy.
Wow.
Right? And then we have, I think one of my advisors is kind of one called Dr. I think I'm just speaking here, not to that I have a lot of partners and I don't want to leave anybody out, but for the sake of time, I'm just going to pick. So we have Dr. Stephen Kingsmore, who's in San Diego. So he actually holds, I think, the world's Guinness records in having the largest sequencing, because he specializes in sequencing critically ill babies, because you have to do it fast to understand what rare genetic disease do they have before they die. And he's kind of advising me. We haven't reached that level yet, but he's still kind of helping me navigate some certain pitfalls. And then we also have some partners like Natasha Mwanigwa, who is with Visibility STEM, and I think they are doing a lot for African STEM. And then we have also Charlene Chabata, who's Duke. And I think I just wanted to give you a couple of names, because one thing which I wanted to also highlight here is at the center of this thing is me tapping into the Zimbabwean diaspora and trying to make them part of the institute. Of course, we have other people that have much more experience and flag bearers somewhere else. We want them to be part of us. But I want all the Zimbabwean diaspora and African diaspora to really, you don't have to be home to make a difference.
Definitely.
But in one way or the other, you can make a difference. And I think we have also other partners, I think that are universities that are coming up, and some biotech institutions that I can't say right now because of we have deals that are in progress.
Wow. No, hearing about this sounds like you have a lot of impressive people on your side, and I mean, with a great team like that, you can only hope for success and reach success. So that is very exciting, and I'm very excited to hear more about this and everything that, maybe later on we'll get a chance to talk again and we just hear about how it's grown, because clearly there's a big vision here, and like I said, it's only to the top from here. Speaking of achievements and successes, you yourself, to be amongst people who are in these different levels, I'm sure you've had your own achievements and great success stories. So what are some of your, what are some of your greatest achievements, and also your future aspirations as well?
My personal ones.
Personal ones.
I think this is a tricky question to answer without appearing vain or whatever.
You have to celebrate yourself. So I'm giving you that point.
No. I think. Let me say I am, let's say, lucky to be where I am. Right. I think. I think academically and in my own career, I've achieved a lot. But I think. What I really think is which I hope will be my greatest achievement, is to really make a difference on the ground in Zimbabwe by really, making this institution come up and have some really socially responsible institution that can actually change people's lives. If I may say, maybe my greatest achievement so far is I employed people in Zimbabwe. So really, I have reduced the unemployment rate. And it might not be many people, and of course, I cannot give each of them $1 million per month, but I think it's already maybe a growing pattern. I think I would say, some people can go against the government, but still, you can critique what things that are being done wrong, but you still should play a role in trying to make things better. And I think I have reduced the unemployment rate. So I would say, and I hope I can do more of it. And I'm looking forward to hopefully being part of the COVID-19 project research in Zimbabwe that we're trying to set up. And if that comes through, I think that will definitely be one of the things that I'll be definitely say, this is something worth it. I think it's really difficult to say on my personal level. I think I've been very blessed in many ways. So I had humble beginnings. I didn't mention that. I had humble beginnings, but I think the point is not to dwell on that. I don't like the African soap stories and all kind of stuff. I think you just snap out of it and do what needs to be done. And so I guess that's it basically.
No, I understand, and like you said, that you don't have to employ everybody in Zimbabwe, but just the mere fact that you're employing the ones who you're employing, that is a difference to so many people, to so many homes and so many families. So I think you have to give yourself some credit. If not, I will give you some credit and say that goes a very long way. And with all these things that are in the process, I'm sure there's going to be so many more people who you employ. You know, we start with the small little people, and then you can only grow from there. You can only grow from there. And and it sounds very exciting. So I know you said you don't like the African sob story, but I'm gonna have to take you there anyway.
Okay. So?
No, because the reason why I'm asking you is that sometimes it's really exciting to hear somebody who had almost something similar, to be like, if Brighton is here and he went all over Europe and he did all of these amazing things, but he's come back and he's still giving back to the country, and it's going to be employing so many people, and he might be involved in all of these initiatives like the COVID-19 research, or all of these things that you've mentioned. I think sometimes it's really good to know that somebody might be listening and be like, oh my word, I can actually relate to that story. And I think it's always good to have visible role models who you can see to be like, I want to be like him one day. And like you said, with the story, it is a very inspiring story, and you can't, it's very hard for you to run away from that. So I just want to ask you advice for Africans, not only in your field, just in STEM, to just for people who are aspiring to get into STEM, and also everything. I can't even say your field because you've gone everywhere. But in terms of like to get to where you are, what would you say to them?
Yeah, I think I have to say, my sob story is not a classical case. I think I have to say, we didn't grow up poor. I think when we were young kids, we were very, my father was doing okay, actually, very great by African standards, right? And at some point, of course, politics being politics, he lost away all his kind of savings. Zimbabwe imploded, and then you just have a change of situation, right? At one time you could buy whatever you want and whatever, go to good schools, but then afterwards you have to negotiate things and so forth. And us being a big family, and then you have to really see. So part of it, actually, one of the choices was, of me going outside the country, because that was never my dream. I think we grew up self-sufficient. I think part of it was, now we are many siblings, right? And now you really consider, if you have the means maybe to go outside the country and have education for free, that might be a good idea to then, so that the resources that are left can be shared among your siblings, right? Yeah, true. And so it's not the classical case whereby you say, I was, I grew up alone. There are people who have gone through much, much worse, right? Yes, so I'm still fortunate, and I maybe it's actually even unfair to call mine a sob story. I'd say, let's say it was just a big challenge, right? But I think wherever I looked, I had many people willing to help. I think I just got lucky that I had a gift. And this gift was simply opening doors for me, right? Some doors I approached them, and some doors seem to have approached me, right? I came to Germany and I had a host family who was fantastic host family, and now we are like a very fantastic family. I don't need anything from them. I never lived with them, but we just got, I just met nice people that basically smoothened my path throughout.
Wow.
Right? I was alone in Germany. I didn't know anything about Germany, but I met people who kind of smoothed that process for me.
No, that's good to know. But I like how you said that you faced some challenges and you've overcome them. So is that your take-home message for everybody? That that's what I'm trying to go for here.
So no, I think my message is basically, I think if you have something that you want to do, I think really go for it. I think if it's too easy, most probably it's not worth doing, because everybody else can do it. I think if you really have something that you think is special or unique, and you might be the person who can do it, or you really have something that you think will make a difference in your life or those others around you, I think you should go for it. And I think one should also maybe not think that you are alone in this world, right? Because I think once you make the first steps, the second steps, you interface with like-minded people, and then you already, grow a nucleus, and then you have much more people, you have more minds to help you towards your goal. So it's really the same thing with my institute. It's like I had an idea, I pitched it to somebody else, somebody polished it, made it much better, another one made it much better, and then you get enough momentum. So I think it's really, you can just start it and look for like-minded people to assist you along the way. I think there are many nice people in this world. Despite all the bad stories we read in the news, there's still a lot of nice people out there.
Definitely. And that is quite true. That I think sometimes it always so happens that once you have an idea, it's really good to just, especially because there's those ideas that really pick at you for a long time. Like you said, you had this idea for 8 years. Yeah. So it meant that you should do it. And I think once you decided, that's when you saw it was unraveled to you that you met all these amazing people to help you realize your dream.
Exactly.
And that is, I think I really like that story, that sometimes you get, something is on your heart, and if it's there, you should probably, because there's probably nobody else who would even do it. Yeah. So, and here you are, like yourself, will probably change a whole lot of people's lives in the future. And I'm so excited for everything that you're going to do.
And if I may add, I think 8 years might seem a long time, but I would look at it like maybe that's what I needed, because this kind of step needs some sort of maturity I might not have had 8 years ago. So maybe late is not late. It just gives you the right perspective.
Yeah, and everything has its time. Yeah, and exactly. This is yours. So again, all the best with everything. We can't wait to hear more about it.
I hope there'll be much more.
No, definitely. And it's been a pleasure having you, and for us getting to know you personally, and also finding out more about the Biotech Institute in Zimbabwe.
Oh, thanks for having me around. I think it has been a pleasure chatting with you and sharing my small story.
It was great hearing about it. And to everybody else who's listening, thank you so much for taking the time to listen to us. And that's it for another episode of The Roots of the Science with your girl and with an E. Until next time, goodbye.